Well, 0-4. And two of those losses at home, every single loss by 25 or more points. This is what it feels like to be a Colorado Buffalo fan in 2022. You're watching ROQ Buffs Spot.
Running the option on first down. Hagan has it. He has room. He's got one man to beat. Now he pitches to Flanagan, and he may take it all the way. Flanagan's in for the touchdown. He needs 28 yards to get him to 2,000. Here is the give to Salam. Salam to the outside. He's down to the 50. He's got 2,000. He's on his way. 20, 15, 10. Let's it go. He's got three people down there. The ball's up in the air. Caught. Graham is out the football. And Graham has to the end zone. Greenberg, play action, walks one. Got his man. It's Jeremy Rules. Nobody's going to catch him. Third down and 7. Blitz comes. Scooped up by Colorado and a big man running all the way.
Welcome in, welcome back. That is right, you are watching Right on Q Buff Spot. I am your host, Tyson Quiller. Thanks again for all the support. We're just growing and growing. Thanks again for checking us out. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with anyone you think might find it interesting. We're getting things heated up. We've made the decision in the last couple episodes that Carl Durrell should already been fired. So we're moving forward with our coaching canvas. I'm going to continue to talk a little bit about each game, give you some numbers that'll hopefully incentivize some action, incentivize maybe it gets up the chain to the actual program, people making decisions, and it might inspire them to take some action as well. And as always, send me your feedback. At RightOnQCS on Twitter, rightonqcs@gmail.com. At the end of this episode, I'm going to be responding to some of your feedback. I'm really appreciating all the comments coming in. And so let's go ahead and let's kick things off. CU took the field against UCLA at noon on Saturday, and the game was basically over by 12:45. You had more than 40,000 fans turn out to the stadium. I mean, wake up, CU. All right, the fans are doing their part. They are dying for a winner here. It's time to give them something worthwhile. I mean, look at this. I mean, this fan base deserves so much better than what they're being given right now. Now to the game. I can definitely say that Owen McCowan looked better than Lewis or Shroud. Okay, but let's not get carried away. He did throw for 258 yards, which is a full 100 yards more than either Shroud or Lewis threw for in the first three games, but 7 other quarterbacks in the Pac-12 alone threw for more yards on Saturday than McCowan did, okay? He also had just 1 touchdown to 1 interception. It was his first collegiate start, and, I mean, you could tell. Short checkdowns all throughout the first drive and really most of the first quarter, first half. I mean, it took the Buffs 13 plays to move just 39 yards on the opening drive. But to his credit, McCowan moved the Buffs down to the UCLA 35, and then just a lack of discipline, delay a game, pushes a field goal attempt back 5 yards. Sure enough, Cole Becker shanks the 54-yard attempt. You know, there were a lot of young players playing in this game for some reason for the Buffs, and I mean, discipline was really an issue early. Also, why did Quinn Perry not start this game? I mean, is he being disciplined? Is he injured? What happened? This team's leading tackler, and your second leading tackler, by the way, Trevor Woods, constantly getting targeting penalties and ejected from games. Okay, like, you need all the pieces you can get on defense. He's your team leader at middle linebacker. Why did he not start this game? This defense was atrocious all game. UCLA, 6 plays, 65 yards, and in for a touchdown on a Dorian Thompson-Robinson 24-yard pass. The Bruins scored a touchdown on each of their first 3 drives. That was already more points than the Buffs offense would score the whole game. And it wasn't like UCLA was getting good field position either. The second UCLA drive started at their own 5-yard line. But sure enough, 7 plays, they had reached the end zone. That is almost 14 yards per play. That's just embarrassing. I mean, this defensive line unit just got dominated at the point of attack all game long. We're familiar with seeing that now after Air Force did it, Minnesota definitely did it. Same thing this last game. The Buffs' first 3 drives on offense were 13 plays, 8 plays, and 10 plays. Okay, they extended drives. They gave the defense more than enough time to recover. The Buffs even had 8 more minutes time of possession in the first half than UCLA had. That's not on the offense. This defense let down in a big way in this game. For the first time in a long time, I could say the defense lost this game more than the offense did. And Chris Wilson and that unit need to do some real soul searching, because they've now given up 63 more rushing yards each game this year than any other team in the country. That's on them, not the offense, and it's unacceptable. Now, I will say this. The reason UCLA started on their own 5-yard line for the second drive is because I think we've found our punter. Trent Carrizosa had 5 punts in the game, 3 landed inside the 20, and that one was obviously downed inside the 5-yard line. That is getting the job done. Attaboy, Trent. So the Buffs were down 14-0 in the first quarter for the 3rd game in a row. Rick George, they can't get this figured out. I mean, the Buffs were down 21-3 before McCown finally got it clicking and led the offense on a 9-play, 74-yard drive, capped off by a McCown scramble touchdown. And again, like with TCU and Air Force, you're going, all right, hey, just down 21-10. We've got some momentum heading into halftime. I mean, the broadcasters were talking about how hyped up the team was coming out of the locker room. They're just jumping around, stirring up the student section. Do you remember all this? Well, UCLA 4 plays, 75 yards, right out of halftime. Zach Charbonnet, 46-yard touchdown run, right up the middle. No one touches him. Just pathetic. Colorado would not score again until there were just 3 minutes left in the game, and we were already down 45-10. And at that point, UCLA is playing all their backups. Listen, I've already made my stance clear on Karl Dorrell, but at this point, I mean, man, maybe Chris Wilson needs to start feeling some heat. Through the first 4 games of the season, our defense is giving up 43.3 points per game. Again, and I'm going to continue to hammer this because I've already seen reports coming out saying, oh, the schedule's been pretty tough for the Buffs. Folks, we haven't played a single ranked team. Not one. The Buffs travel to Arizona next, and I mean, if you think that's going to be an easy win, you're lying to yourself. Arizona has 2 wins already on the year, and they beat San Diego State at home in their season opener. They have the 2nd best passing offense in the conference, so I mean, at least we shouldn't get crushed on the defense in the run game in this one. Now, after 4 weeks of college football action, we are looking at a college football landscape nationally with maybe the most parity in a long time. Alabama almost lost to Texas, Ohio State almost lost to Notre Dame, and Georgia and Michigan struggled to put away Kent State and Maryland yesterday. Just 21 teams remain undefeated in the country. There were 26 teams remaining undefeated at this point last year. Let me give you a couple of these teams that are undefeated right now. Syracuse, who went 1-10 just 2 years ago, Kansas, who went 2-10 last year, and James Madison. Now, if that name doesn't sound familiar, it's okay. It's because they are in their first season at the Division I level. And they're 4-0, yes. So far this year, App State has knocked off number 6 Texas A&M in College Station. Marshall won at number 8 Notre Dame. Hey, Marshall's starting quarterback from last year, Grant Wells, he threw for 3,500 yards, transferred out to Virginia Tech in the offseason. Well, Marshall went into the portal, got themselves a senior quarterback, and wouldn't you know it, they're 2-2 with a win at Notre Dame. Seems like something the Buffs could have done. In our own conference, Washington State, who not only has a brand new head coach, but also lost their quarterback to the portal, went into the portal themselves as well, got a new starting quarterback. They're 3-1 with a win over number 19, Wisconsin. How about Texas Tech? They have a brand new head coach and brand new starting quarterback. They've beaten number 25 Houston and just knocked off number 22 Texas at home this weekend. Now, week 3, Washington, with a brand new quarterback from the portal, defeats number 11 Michigan State. They too have a brand new head coach, but they're 4-0 and in the top 25. Folks, we beat Washington last year. The Buffs beat Washington last year. And yesterday, Kansas State just beat number 6 Oklahoma in Norman. And, check this one out, Middle Tennessee, yes, Middle Tennessee is 3-1 after knocking off number 25 Miami in Coral Gables. And we can't stay within 25 points of 4 unranked teams. Through 4 weeks of play, just 3 teams in the nation, that's out of 132 teams, just 3 have yet to win a game. They are Georgia State, Colorado State, and you guessed it, the Colorado Buffaloes. That's it. That's it, and that's all. Just 3. The college football season is taking place for 129 teams, and 3 just refuse to participate. In Colorado football's 132-year history, we have never had a season start off with 3 losses by 25 points or more. Well, we've started this season off with 4 of them now. And again, listen to me very clearly. We have not played a single ranked team. Now, why do we do this? Why do we come here to discuss CU football, right? I mean, if we just do this to complain, then we're wasting our time, okay? I don't do this because I think it's hopeless. I do it because I don't think it's hopeless. This can be changed. We talked about all the resources CU has at its disposal last week. Storied history, top-notch facilities, Power 5 conference, plenty of finances and fan support, even the location and surrounding community. Now, how do I know this? How do I know this can be changed? Because many teams with far fewer advantages than CU has at its disposal have been able to turn the corner and return their program to relevancy. Let's take a look at some of them. Since 2012, 18 teams have had a 2-10 record or worse. Just 9 teams have had 2 or more 10-loss seasons. Colorado is one of them. The other 9 teams that have had 2 or more 10-loss seasons in the last decade are Arkansas, Illinois, Kansas, Kentucky, Oregon State, Purdue, Rutgers, Virginia, and let's go ahead and add the Buffs to their peer group here. Now, how are each of these teams doing this season? Now, all this is through week 3. Arkansas, 17.7 points per game differential, 3-0, ranked number 10 in the country. Illinois, plus 20.3 points per game differential, 3-1 on the season. Kansas, plus 24.7 and 3-0. They're now 4-0. Kentucky, plus 21.6 points per game differential, 3-0, number 8 in the country. Next group, Oregon State in our own conference, plus 20 points per game differential, 3-0. Purdue, plus 16.4 points per game differential, 1-2. And the reason I put points per game differential on there is to show you that if these teams are losing, it's by a very small margin. Purdue, just a 1-2 record, but plus 16.4 points per game differential. What that tells you is their losses were very close, and then they won a game by a lot. Rutgers, plus 20.7 points per game differential, 3-0 on the season. Virginia, basically even points per game differential, 2-1 on the season. All of those teams who have had 2, 10 or more loss seasons in the last decade, just like Colorado, all of their combined records after week 3 was 21-4. The Buffs are now 0-4. So it can be done. We're seeing it right here. Why is one of these things not like the other? Let's look at Colorado's numbers. Just 10 points per game. That was tied for second worst in the country as of last week, giving up 42.7 points per game. The average margin of defeat that we have suffered to all 4 of these unranked opponents is 32.7 points, 0-3. I reiterate, we have not played a single ranked opponent. You're going to say, oh, well, they got their wins against weak opponents. Well, Arkansas beat number 23, Cincinnati. Kentucky beat number 12, Florida. Purdue beat number 14, Penn State. Some of these teams that haven't played ranked opponents like the Buffs have played some tough teams as well. Kansas beat Houston, who was ranked at the start of the year, and Oregon State beat Boise State. So what's the point? The point is it's not impossible if you're willing to make the decisions and do the things that are required to get this program back on track. Now, before we get out of here, I want to address some of your feedback. I'm really appreciating the feedback you've been sending me. Hey, this is our place to come and vet coaches, candidates, vet ideas, right? There's different philosophies on how to approach the future. We can do it here, since CU apparently refuses to sense the signs of the times and act. Let's start right here with WC. Where do we go from here? Aside from the brief, bright moment in 2016, we are the worst Power 5 team in the country. I think you're right. I think you hire a coach like Bob Stoops and tell him that there is no pressure. All you need to do is be good enough to go to bowl games. A coach like that could do well here. Well, first of all, thanks WC for the support. There are actually a lot of cases of teams making major turnarounds that we can learn from. Bleacher Report ranked the top 10 program turnarounds in college football. These are them. Feel free, dig into them. Tell me if there's anything we can mine out of there. I will bring it to the show here. But since you mentioned the idea of Bob Stoops and kind of giving him some time and space to work, I think the best comparison to that scenario is Bill Snyder the first time at Kansas State. In 1987 and 88, Kansas State won exactly 0 games. 2 seasons, 0 wins. They fired Stan Parrish after going 0-21-1 through those 2 seasons. Bill Snyder was hired in early 1989. He was the Iowa offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Snyder had no head coaching experience. It didn't turn around right away. In his first season with the Wildcats, they went just 1-10, but they got their first win in 3 seasons. Year 2, Kansas State won 5 games, finishing 5-6. Then, after finishing 7-4 in year 3, they took a step back down to 5-6 again in year 4. But the program stood by Snyder, and they would be happy that they did. Over the course of the next 11 years, from 1993 to 2003, Snyder and the Wildcats won 9 or more games 10 times. They had an 11-win season 6 times through that stretch. This program had never won more than 8 games in any season in program history prior to Bill Snyder. So this is certainly one philosophy on how to fill that role, and I get it, believe me, I understand it, there's examples of it being successful, but here's the problem, is you never really know if it's going to come back up. If you're on the up, if you're progressing, you'd have to really monitor things like recruiting rankings, things like development of younger players, to know if your potential is going up or down. As an example, I could totally see a situation. I told you before, CU could certainly go 0-12 this year, but I could totally see a situation where CU ends up winning 3 games, 3 games, and it's enough for Rick George to hold on to Carl Durrell for another year, and I feel like that would be the worst possible scenario of all, because this program is certainly not going up. It's definitely going down. We got a note here from Alan Quiller. You need a good recruiter who can also work the portal and then develop talent once they're in Boulder. Some of these coaches are already being snatched up with the firing, which has occurred in other programs already. Let's see how the Buffs do against UCLA. Go Buffs. Okay, obviously we saw how the Buffs did against UCLA. That is an important point, though. These other schools, Nebraska, Arizona State, they're going to start getting up these candidates, vetting them, eventually hiring them. The longer we wait, we're putting ourselves behind the 8 ball. So anyways, back to the first part of your note. This is certainly a different approach than the Bill Snyder approach. I want to kind of couple this with another note that I received here from Big June. Why is Deion Sanders' name not on that list? Okay, this was in response to our Coach's Canvas video from a week and a half ago. Thanks again, first of all, to both of you for watching as well. Now, I had kind of dismissed Deion Sanders because although I do think he is a better coach than he gets credit for, he has only coached a couple years, and it's been at the FCS level. But also, he seems like a really authentic guy to me, trying to make changes and build the HBCUs. I mean, since he was hired, Eddie George and Hugh Jackson have gone to head coach at HBCUs. So I think principally it would be tough to pry him away. He probably wouldn't want to leave. But if he wanted to leave, I think he would also be in line for that Florida State job. But what Big June proposed back to me was, would he not make major headlines and bring in great recruits? That is unquestionably true. He would certainly bring a lot of attention to the program, and he is a proven recruiter. I mean, he snagged the top recruit in the nation in the 2022 class, Travis Hunter, and the number 6 wide receiver, Kevin Coleman, to Jackson State. I mean, these are players that Alabama was trying to recruit, and Georgia, and he beat them out for these 2 guys. Alan, to your note, the landscape of college football is changing, and you definitely can't afford to have a coach or an athletic department that refuses to fully participate in NIL and the transfer portal. There's no question about that. Now, I know some of you out there principally don't like the idea of NIL or the transfer portal, and that's fine, and we can have principled conversations, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because it's happening, whether we like it or not. And so I've explained it this way before, but being Rick George and the comments I had mentioned a couple of episodes ago saying NIL's a fad, and as for the transfer portal, we do things the right way. I mean, if that's your perspective, it's basically like this. All the kids are out at recess. There's like 5 kids who are picking players for their team, and Rick George is just off to the side, and he says, well, I'm not going to pick, I'll just take whoever's left over. I mean, it seriously is like that. But that will do it for this episode. Thanks again for checking us out. Thanks so much for the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with anyone you think might find it interesting. Send me your feedback. I'm going through it. If I find it real interesting, maybe I'll put it on an episode just like I did with Big June and WC here and Alan. At ROQCS on Twitter, rightonqcs@gmail.com. Stay strong. Keep the faith. I am Tyson Quiller. You have been watching ROQ Buffs Spot. And as always, go Buffs.
Running the option on first down. Hagan has it. He has room. He's got one man to beat. Now he pitches to Flanagan, and he may take it all the way. Flanagan's in for the touchdown. He needs 28 yards to get him to 2,000. Here is the give to Salam. Salam to the outside. He's down to the 50. He's got 2,000. He's on his way. 20, 15, 10. Lets it go. He's got 3 people down there. The ball's up in the air. Caught. Graham is out the football. And Graham has for the end zone. Greenberg, play action, walks one, got